You are listening to KC Sports Network, the #1 podcast network for today's Kansas City sports fans. With former players from your favorite teams, informed perspectives, and former insiders, this is the place for you. KC Sports Network is proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
All right, folks, what's good? Another episode, Ain't No Seats podcast presented by Emprise Bank. Boys, I feel like I've started the last 3 or 4 pods with saying this feels surreal to say. I can't even believe I'm saying these words. But the Kansas football Jayhawks are 5-0. Not only are they 5-0, they are 2-0 in the Big 12. AB throwing the fives up. Shout out. AB's brought the energy tonight. I'm excited for AB. 5-0, 2-0 in the Big 12, and ranked in the top 20. College GameDay is coming to town. Can you fathom me saying these things literally a month ago? I can't. It's insane. I can't believe this is real life. Kansas Athletics is on an all-time heater right now. B-Turn, I'll start with you. How are you feeling? What did you think of Saturday? Just how's it going?
I feel great, and I tweeted it earlier. It feels even sweeter just based off our last 13 years of football and how I feel like sometimes I don't realize how bad it got, but just going back and look at the records, and it's literally one of the worst stretches in Power 5 football history. No one's going to argue that. Might be the worst. And I was looking at Big 12 records. We hadn't won more than one conference game since Reesing's junior year. His senior year, we were 1-0, and then we lost to Mizzou at Arrowhead. And so we haven't won more than one conference game since 2008, and now we're 2-0. One of those came on the road and scoring 55 points. And then Saturday, they win 14-11, and the defense is the story. Jacoby Bryant, Kenny Logan has a crazy big pass breakup in the end zone that probably saved the game. Iowa State's kicker was the MVP. And
he's good. Good kicker.
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking earlier, that's what good teams do. Good teams win that game, and the defense found a way. Our offense didn't even score in the second half, and Jalen Daniels only threw it 4 times the whole half. So to win that game ugly is huge, especially with TCU coming into town with a potential letdown game. I feel like AB is going to like that reference, but letdown game for TCU, and we win ugly, and maybe we show up and are the better team on Saturday, but the fact that we're undefeated, top 20 in the country with game day coming to town for the first time ever, it's I haven't felt this good in a long time about any of the teams I like. This is the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, it's crazy. AB, I said it at the top. You brought the energy tonight. You're fired up. I know you've kind of I think you made it clear last week that you're all in on the Hawks. I think we're all fully bought in, but I don't know. I think you've kind of been a guy that said this defense is not bad. You've believed in this defense, and the defense was absolutely incredible on Saturday. So just give me AB's takes from Saturday.
They were phenomenal. The run defense was awesome. I watched at home. I was a sick boy. The announcer just kept begging Deckers to throw downfield, and they just wouldn't do it. They just wouldn't do it. Underneath routes, just hand the ball off, lose 3 yards. Obviously, they lost their running back, but still, it was impressive to see the defense play like that. So I'm fired up. And Ryan, you said it if you would have told us a month or 2 ago, whatever, that we would be in this situation. I went back 3 weeks and listened to episodes of the podcast from West Virginia preview, Duke preview even. And it in the West Virginia episode, we were talking about if we could compete in one of the games and get blown out in the other, we would come into the Duke game with 40,000 people because we would show some promise, and that would be a winnable game. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We didn't even mention winning both games and starting 3-0. So the fact that we've come this far so quickly is just it's insane. I can't even believe it's real. I have to look at my phone all the time to make sure that it's a real thing.
It's so weird because I said that today at work. I said to somebody, it's crazy how fast this has happened. And so, but then it's wait, no, this has not happened fast. We have been just suffering through this for so long, what it feels like, but we didn't have that. We didn't have a middle ground. We went from absolute bottom of the barrel to just here. And it didn't give our brains time to comprehend that we can actually be good at football again. like the skipping of just being a bad team to a decent team to a good team. We didn't have a decent team. We went from awful to good overnight. And it's like insane to think that we're heading into week 6, 5-0. We got another undefeated team coming to town. We are legitimately, I'm not kidding when I say this, the biggest story in college football. Like, it's not Bama. It's not Georgia. It's us. Everybody loves us. We're getting a segment on Big Noon kickoff. We're getting a segment on Game Day. Game Day's coming here. Like, we have taken over the college football world, and it is so fun to watch because we deserve this. Braiden, you've said this all the time. Like, we sat through and we suffered, and we've just been begging for these moments, and now they're just coming rapidly. Like, we're getting a ton of awesome moments, and I just can't believe that it's here. And Saturday to me was perfect in a weird way. We didn't play great, and we didn't look our best at all, but we did what good football teams do, and that's just find a way to win. It's like the NCAA tournament. You always have one of those games where you just play disgusting, but when you get the win, you feel good about it, and you're kind of happy it happened. And so we win ugly. We show up when we needed to near the end of the game. I guess kind of. The kicker showed up, helped us too at the end of the game. But like,
jeez,
I don't know. I guess B-turn, take away the fact that we won just based on our performance. Are you concerned at all heading into TCU because of how we played, or can we just say, hey, Iowa State's defense was good. We were due to have an offensive game. We played conservative. And, like, are you pretty confident we can go right back to being the offense we were or somewhat similar?
My head is absolutely spinning the last 2 days about that game and just the TCU game in general. And Lance talked about it after the game, just how he was a little conservative and just kind of wanted to play the field position game late. And that kind of tells you how good Iowa State's defense really is. So I think it's just a great coaching staff that is going to do whatever it takes to win. It doesn't matter if the score's 2-0 or what, but it's tough with the offense. I still think the play caller's really good. There were some questionable play calls where Bean took snaps on third downs and ran them. But I still think, our quarterback's amazing. We still have a good backfield, even though we'll get into Highshaw, which is devastating. Our O-line's been really good. I don't know if they gave up a sack on Saturday, but I still feel fine. And our defense, we've said it for a couple of weeks. I think our defense is going to get better throughout the year, which is kind of scary. I have all those transfers, and they were so good on Saturday. So I think our defense, and that's the thing too with the West Virginia Houston game, defense wasn't amazing, but they got the critical stops and the stops they needed to get for us to win that game. They got stops when it was 14-0 against Houston. West Virginia, they got stops late. So I think our defense is going to continue to improve, and just with this coaching staff, I'm going to feel good no matter what. I've been kind of negative about this TCU matchup, but we've said it too. There's going to be a game or two where we're going to be in that we might not be confident in, like the Oklahoma game last year. And Oklahoma was a team that they could have gotten the college football playoff if they would have beat Oklahoma State late in the year. So I just trust this coaching staff to do whatever it takes to win. And I think that's what they did on Saturday against Iowa State, and Reese Vernon pinned them inside the 10 a couple times, played the field position game. Hunter Deckers makes terrible decisions, and they put the ball in his hands late and gave him a chance to go win it, and he didn't. And Lance trusts our defense. So
can we talk about I don't know how you guys felt. Or maybe you were watching from home. Did you I was praying that they would kick the field goal late in that game. I could not believe
4th and inches
that Campbell doesn't go for that. And I don't know, that's a tough spot to put that kicker, and maybe that was his point. Maybe it was a weird thing where remember when Self kept Udoka in to shoot the free throws, even though we were all just begging Udoka to be sat. But maybe that was the thing where he was like, let's get my kicker's confidence back. But boy, did that backfire, because that poor kicker may never make a kick ever again in his life. You know, in golf, when you get the yips and you're you've hit 8 bad shots in a row, and you stand over the ball. You stand over the ball and you just have no idea what to do. Your swing's gone, your pre-shot routine's a disaster, and that's how I felt. That poor kicker, that last kick, I couldn't tell from where I was sitting in the stadium because I sit on the side. It's the worst kick I've ever seen in my life.
He missed by a literal mile. A literal mile. It was so
and that's
bad.
the worst part about watching games in the stadium. I had no idea. I could not tell that ball missed until the crowd went nuts. Like
it's so funny to watch the replay of the kick because you can hear the crowd with the broadcast, and it's like, from my vantage point watching at home, you could tell he missed from the minute his foot hit the ball. But the crowd doesn't make any noise until after the KU defense runs off the field and the referees give no good. It was good. But it is wild you brought up the Udoka thing, because I was literally thinking about that same scenario, but plugged in with the KU defense. And Lance was being conservative because he wants to show the defense they trust, or the staff trusts them. They're going to need them to win games going forward. Go out, get the stops we need, confidence booster. I don't know if that played into it, but that's kind of the vibe I got, was show these guys you trust them.
We said it, we said last week, this team, we almost need a game where the defense has to step up and play good. And I didn't think we needed them to hold a team to 11 points. I felt like our offense could easily get this game into the 20s, but I think we could potentially look back at this game and say that was a huge turning point for us to prove that we aren't just because we also threw that out. Are we just a really good offensive team with a bunch of cool schemes, but could teams start to catch on to it? But I think even if that is the case, where our offense isn't going to work like it has all year, not necessarily, but we're a complete team. We've got dudes on that defensive side of the ball, and I think we can compete even if our offense doesn't bring their A game every week.
Yeah, and I still think there was plenty of drives where we were in their territory too. Yeah. I think both bean runs were in their territory, which both times, you guys know I melt down during games, but both times I'm just furious. You got a Heisman candidate that's been incredible on third downs. We're close to 70% on the year on third downs, and they're giving it to Bean for a design run.
And I tweeted this during the game. I have no issues, and I want Bean to be involved in the offense. That little handoff to where he ran out and then he threw the out pattern for 10 yards. Mm-hmm. That kind of shit just feels impossible to defend, because you're watching Daniels on the run, Daniels on the pass, Bean on the run, Bean on the pass. Yeah. That just seems like confusion. But on 3rd and 8 from the Iowa State 35-yard line, you're running a sweep with your backup quarterback. There's so many other options to do. And we haven't had a lot of time to complain about the offensive play calling, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. They've been awesome. But it was pretty questionable. But Braiden, you said it. I think it was 8 out of 10 drives KU got into Iowa State territory.
Yeah.
So, we didn't score points, obviously, but I still feel like the offense wasn't as big of a disaster as it could have been. But, you got to finish drives off.
Yeah, and I think the thought process behind the Bean runs is it's no man's land. It's kind of 4-down territory, and you're 3rd down and 7 or 8. You're going to run it and try to get it to a 4th and 3, 4th and manageable, so Lance can go for it on 4th. But one of them was a holding. I don't know. AB, you saw it from home. It's so hard to see everything. I don't know if it was a hold. And then
it was a late hold, if I remember. I felt like Bean had already made the break, and then they call. I don't know. But, yeah.
And then the second one, I think he gained a yard, and so you have to punt or whatever he did. But I thought the 50-yard field goal by Borchilla, which I don't know. I think it left the television screen probably from home.
Yeah, it was worse than the Iowa State kick at the end.
I really didn't understand that decision by Lance. 50-yarder with the wind coming at his face. He doesn't have the strongest leg. I would say either go for it, or if you're talking about field position after the game, maybe punt it there, pin him inside the 10. But what a wild game. Even the 2-point conversion by Iowa State, where I think it was either O.J. Burrows or Mello Dotson who was just running around like his head was cut off, ran back into the back of the end zone.
He thought he was going to pass it. He just panicked.
And my thought process on that was, it wasn't a fake. It was just he dropped it. So everyone's blocking on the offensive line, so no one was running routes. It was just that the holder was going to have to get in the end zone no matter what. So crazy thing about that is if they just kicked the extra point there late in the game, Iowa State would have been down 4 instead of 3, and Iowa State would have had to go get 6. And think about that, 4th and inches. I don't know. It wouldn't have came down to that probably, but if it was 14-10 and they had 4th and inches going for that, I'm sure they picked that up, and then we have to stop them inside the 20.
You could easily argue
that. I like that B-turn. I never thought about that. That is wild.
Us. Yeah.
Yes. The Kenny Logan play hasn't been talked about at all. Xavier Hutchinson, one of the best receivers in the country, which, holy shit. Every third down, it's over the middle, dump down, first down. Number 8, it's like no one knew he was on the field, or I don't know. It was insane, but Xavier Hutchinson has a touchdown pass in his hands, goes to the ground, and I kind of just put my head down because I thought he caught it, and our offense wasn't doing much, and Kenny Logan breaks up the pass. And
yeah.
AB, you got to tell me about Jacoby Bryant's second pick, because they wouldn't show the replay till the very end. But everyone from home
it
said
was incomplete.
Yeah,
it was incomplete. Yeah, so
did the ball just
caught it?
come?
Yeah, when he came to the ground, it's when it came out and it kind of hit the ground. So it looks obviously good live, but yeah, when they showed the replay, it was pretty obvious.
But speaking of him, his pick
that benefited us.
Rips the guy's towel off. Yes, the pick us.
Because then they
yeah. But the pick where Jacoby ripped the guy's towel off, throws it in the air, and then intercepts it was one of the coolest plays in Kansas football history. It might be an exaggeration, but like I don't think that's getting talked about enough. But yeah, I mean, we brought it up. Jacoby gets that pick, which ended up helping us field position wise. But that game, like I was saying this in the stands with Alan and James and the crew we were sitting with, like that was about to be a really, really painful loss because I mean, you think about the end of the first half, it feels like we are in control. Like I remember I was out at the concourse getting a drink and it's like 3 minutes on the clock. And I hear an Iowa State fan, and he's just like talking to another Iowa State fan. He's like, this isn't what I expected. Like, he was like, I don't know what we're going to do. Like they were distraught. Like they really felt like we were the far better team. And then Iowa State goes down. They have the big play. They score. But even then, we had the ball, and our offense had looked good for a bit that last drive. And it was like, okay, we'll go score. It'll be 21-8 at half, and we get ball at half, and like we're in control. But then we never scored again. And like we just never – it felt like there were so many times where Iowa State was like, okay, here you go put the game away. Go put the game away. And we just wouldn't do it. And then you talk about – the freaking we recover the punt when they muff it, and then Highshaw fumbles, but obviously that was just brutal for him.
Yeah, we recovered that at the 29, so we started inside the 30.
I mean, to me, that game's over when we recover that punt. Like we're at least like it.
How
just
long
felt
was
like
it? 14-11.
It was 14-11 for so long. I don't even know when they made their field goal, but. I got a trivia for you guys. How many first downs? How many first downs did KU have in the second half?
I know we had one on the first drive for sure. I would say, God, is it 1?
I was going to say like 3, but I have no confidence in that.
AB's correct. 3 first downs in the second half, and we won.
There were a lot of possessions.
Yeah.
Like you said, like Iowa State just kept giving us the ball, whether it be a turnover or.
I mean, we only ran 46 plays. Mm-hmm. Like we just could not get. It was really stunning to watch as we've seen this team. We've said it time and time again. Like it seemed so easy for this offense all year, and to see it all of a sudden just look so difficult was kind of shocking. But also, like I think we've said it. I think it was a good thing, and I think. Mm-hmm. It was kind of what this offense needed. Like we're going to need to probably go into practice this week and make some adjustments. And that's good. It's almost like you didn't want this offense to get too confident. Right. So now we'll see how they respond.
Yeah. The thing about the 14-0 thing, it was like third. I think I wouldn't even know how many yards they needed, but it was 3rd and long, like inside the 10. And they threw, I think it was a PI on Jacoby or someone on Xavier Hutchinson. So I was getting my hopes up for 17-0 or 21-0 at half.
Yeah.
And
so was I.
Oh my God, dude, when it was 14-0, I told my dad about the -20.5 and how I wanted to see your face when it was 14-0. We had a chance to get it back. But yeah, they get the PI, go score, somehow get the 2-point conversion. But I was getting my hopes up for 21-0 with the ball coming out. And when it was 14-8, we get it. I think we got to midfield and then stalled out. And I don't know. I guess the conservative route isn't terrible because I think it just shows you how good Iowa State's defense is. And it almost felt like we just didn't want to turn the ball over and give Iowa State good field position. And I can't talk about how many bad decisions Hunter Decker's made. I swear he could have thrown 4 or 5 picks. The dude's this close to getting sacked and just launches it left-handed.
Dude, but our defensive line, like the pressure we put on them it's been a while since like I was thinking about that the whole game. Like I don't remember us getting very many sacks the last 10 years. And it felt like every time we got a sack, it was like thrilling. It was like, oh my God. Like, and this defense, man, like we said it, we didn't know how the transfers would be, but it's pretty awesome to like actually see these guys we came in. I mean, you mentioned Kenny Logan, he's a lifer, but like the other guys that came in, we didn't know will transfers immediately impact this team, but like they absolutely are, and they have absolutely done exactly what you want the transfer portal to do for your team.
Did you guys watch number 15 flying around all Saturday? Craig Young.
Baby? Yeah, he's all over the place.
He can do everything.
He's so good.
Cover, come off the edge, rushing the passer. He's unbelievable. And that's a dude that – did you see his tweet earlier today?
No.
He was saying – he like quoted like, why are you going to Kansas? You're not going to win.
I love that. I saw some recruits doing that too. Like, you ruined your career by picking Kansas, and now everyone thinks I'm a genius. Like, yeah, it's crazy how quickly the narrative has shifted. We've gone from joke to, I think, honestly, for a few weeks, like when we were 2-0, 3-0, it was kind of like a meme. It was a joke to call Kansas good. And now I think it's like, whoa, Lance Leipold is freaking insane. His staff's insane. We've got maybe a top, I mean, I think it's pretty clear we have a top 10 coach in the country right now. Speaking of that, don't want to get too off topic here, but the Wisconsin job opened up last night, boys.
Don't worry about it.
And AB, I think you texted this, but like the odds of us getting a coach who's an absolute superstar, who is like main concern is Nebraska and Wisconsin. Those are the two jobs we've heard since Lance took this job that like, if those schools came calling, Lance would listen. Like, it's just a known thing, people think. The fact that those schools open up in a matter of 3 weeks while we are 5-0 is the most annoying thing in the world. But I also said this, like, if Lance, like, it sounds like this Leonard guy could be the guy in Wisconsin if they look fine the rest of the year. If we can get Lance out of this offseason and he ends up back in Lawrence, like, I think he's here a long, long time. But that's a big if. That is a big if. Because it's not just those jobs. Who knows what else will come calling?
I mean, I guess. But like you said, these are the two that he would like listen to. So if he's not taking him, like if they offer and he says no, then I think he is here for a long time. If they just go in a different direction and doesn't even get to that point, then maybe. But like, what other jobs are we even talking about? Like Auburn, I don't think Lance wants Auburn. I don't think Lance wants Notre Dame. I think he wants like, Wisconsin. I mean, like us, we're a piece of shit. Nebraska qualifies as that too. But I don't know. I keep going back, and I think I texted you guys this. The Cover 3 pod with Fornelli. So I went back and listened to their emergency podcast when KU hired Lance, so 18 months ago or whatever. And Lance was quoted saying that his favorite part of like picking jobs and going to places, they're schools with no tradition, no program, like history really, and is super down in the dumps so he can build it up and do it his way. The thing with Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Auburn, and Notre Dame, and whatever school you want to throw out there, all these bigger jobs have tradition. They have been good. They have ADs and boosters that have more control than the head coach. That's just not the case here. So maybe he just does love it, and he can just do everything his own way. And I've talked myself into this. But I'm with you on the whole. If he doesn't go this year, he's just going to be here until he retires.
I mean, in that big news, or I can't remember, it was the Tom Rinaldi thing, which was great, but it was Lance talking about how he, after the OU game last year where we almost won, where he like walks into the bar, Johnny's, to do the hawk talk, and the crowd's like giving him a standing ovation, and he like turned to his wife and he was like, "Can you believe they're clapping over a loss because we almost won?" And he's like, "We've got to change this. This has to change." And like, I think that goes to your point, AB. Like, he is obsessed with the grind of like building this team. And so I don't know, like, he is in an interesting spot because if he stays and, you know, if Lance is here 10, 15 years till he's, I mean, hopefully longer than that, but I mean, he is 58. If he stays, he's an all-time, like, fields named after him, like statue type stuff if he wants it, like Bill Snyder type stuff if he stays for the rest of his career potentially. So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it all, or I could see him leaving and us being like, well, no, duh, he left. Like, makes sense. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be wild.
Dude, how it's insane to me how good we are already. Like, this staff got here 16 months ago. And I've said it a million times. They took over a winless team with he brought some guys from Buffalo, but they weren't his players. We were competitive at the end of the year, and that got our hopes up. And now we're 5-0. I've talked to so many people throughout the last few days. They're saying if we're 2-3 or 3-2 right now, we're thrilled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're 5-0, top 20 in the country, game day coming to town against another ranked team. And it's insane. And I'd do anything in the world to keep him here. Wisconsin scares the shit out of me. He's from there. He coached in Wisconsin. I don't know if that matters a ton, but Wisconsin's been the rumored job he loves for a long time. And my thing is with Lance, is like, what is his end goal? Like this, he doesn't strike me as a dude that wants to go to a powerhouse. And obviously any coach wants to win national champions, but does Lance want to go, like, is his goal to go to a powerhouse and win national titles, or stay at a Power 5 school and build them up and keep them good for a long time? Like, he's already proved he can win here. So maybe he's just satisfied and wants to stay in Lawrence and coach here for the next 30 years.
I don't doubt that Lance wants to stay. And like, I think it would truly break his heart to have to leave. But like, these guys are the most competitive at their craft. Like, these guys are, to get to this level of coaching, you have to be so freaking competitive. You have to be so driven. And so for me, like, if Lance sees an opportunity where he can go to a school and compete for national titles, then yeah, I'd be shocked. That's why I'm not necessarily, I don't know if Wisconsin and Nebraska are those schools.
No,
like
they're absolutely not those schools, dude. Like, Michigan's going to be there. Ohio State's going to be there. In 2 years, USC and Lincoln Riley's going to be there. UCLA is undefeated right now. They're coming in. Like, if he wants to win a national title, and I'm sorry to those Cornhusker and Badgers fans that are listening, which are probably none of you, you're not fucking winning a national championship anytime soon. And like, no matter who you could hire, I don't want to go too far. I think if they hire Urban Meyer, that might change things. But like, there's so many obstacles, and it's like the same thing with Auburn. Like, I have zero worry about Auburn, probably because he doesn't have connections there. Is he going to go to the SEC where he's the 8th best team there? Like, those are the schools we're competing against, and the Big 12 is about to get lighter. Obviously, we can't pay him as much because the TV deals aren't the same. But if we go add Pac-12 schools, maybe we get a fat TV deal, and it's like 3 power conferences, and we can compete with that. Because that's, like, to me, the only concern.
My fear is, like, yeah, if he says no to Nebraska and Wisconsin, that's great. But, like, is there a potential where, like, maybe not this year, but in, like, 2-3 years, you see, like, a Texas A&M where, like, not Texas A&M specifically, but you know how they threw Jimbo a bag that was, like, Jimbo could not have turned that down. Like, it was the most outrageous contract offer. Even, like, Brian Kelly going to LSU. Like, sometimes I don't think coaches necessarily are even looking for jobs, but you get a number thrown your way and it just becomes absolutely insane to turn it down financially. Now, I don't think Lance is driven by that at all, but sometimes you got agents in your ear. You got people saying this is a just insane contract. You have to take it. So I don't know. There's always going to be fears, but
this is a bigger picture college football thing. Do you think those contracts are still going to come? Like, think of like the massive, like, mega deals outside of Alabama and Clemson and those kind of teams. But like, A&M absolutely is regretting Jimbo right now and paying him $100 million. Michigan State stinks, and they're paying Mel Tucker like $100 million. Like, there's so many of these contracts out there, and these people are so rich that it probably doesn't even matter, which is disgusting to think about. But like, how many of these huge contracts are these schools just going to go out and pluck this 60-year-old dude from Kansas to come and rebuild their program in this, 7 years that he has left to coach, I guess, is kind of my thinking. But.
Yeah. I mean, I hope Lance definitely gives off the vibe of a guy that could be so content at a school like Kansas. And like, he's not a Lane Kiffin. He's not I'm trying to think of, he's not really a Brian Kelly. Like, he's just a guy that, like, I think loves coaching football and loves people and probably loves the community that he's built here in Lawrence. So I don't know. We'll see. It's hard to tell. Like, I think there's no way to really know yet. And I truly don't think Lance knows yet. I think he's going to have to listen to what people say, but we'll see. I don't want to take too much time on that. We got to transition, though, to – I said it at the top, but I still can't believe I'm saying this. College GameDay is coming to Lawrence, Kansas on Saturday, boys. And TCU, undefeated, coming to town. TCU looks like a wagon. They absolutely smoked OU last week, but just I don't know. How pumped are we for College GameDay coming to town?
I want to ask you guys, like, does any of this feel real to you? Like, has it hit you? Are you like crazy excited, or does it just feel fake?
A little bit of both. I'm trying not to think about it too much because it's only Monday and these weeks drag if I start looking into all that shit now. But I was sitting at Johnny's on Saturday night. We're just hanging out and I'm watching the Clemson game and it just pops up that little sidebar. It says College GameDay next week in Lawrence, Kansas. And I seriously stood up and threw my hands in the air. Like, well, what are we like? How do we even react to that? Like for football, not bad. Like we've seen it for basketball.
First time ever.
It was for just
football,
yeah. I laughed out loud. Like it was one of those things where you read the tweet and you just laugh out loud. Like that's how absurd it was.
First time ever. And I feel like it's the game we talked about the least on the home schedule. We talked about maybe Duke just because it was the two schools that don't win much in football. We were both undefeated. We talked about potentially Oklahoma State, third top 10 team. And then TCU's just been unreal. And we'll obviously talk about them in a little bit. But first time ever in Lawrence. Our fans are insane. I guarantee it's going to be a crazy turnout at game day. Trying to figure out where it's going to be at. I'm assuming on the hill somewhere right outside the stadium. But I cannot believe it. And I had a feeling after what they did to OU, I don't know how good OU is right now, but TCU's averaging 49 points a game and KU's right up there as well. I don't know what we're at after Saturday, but two electric offenses that are both undefeated and in the top 20. And it's, dude, I can't even think on the last time I've been this excited or nervous for a KU game. I said that last weekend, but so maybe it was last weekend.
Shout out Game Day. We bullied them on Twitter when they didn't pick us for the Duke game, but like they totally played this right. Like this is so much more exciting than Duke. Thinking about top 20 matchup in the booth in week 6 of college football. And it's like, oh, I can't believe it. TCU, like AB, I think you've been high on TCU all year. You loved them from the start. And I don't know what to make of OU, but it doesn't matter. OU still OU. You go in and you do that to them, just absolutely trounced them. Like early lines out, 7-point underdogs. We continue to we continue to get disrespected, but I don't know. AB, talk to me about TCU. How are you feeling heading into the game?
I know I've been the TCU guy this year, but I think they might be a touch overrated now. Am I allowed to say that? Maybe it's my homerism coming out. But, so here's the thing. They've played – Colorado's the worst team in maybe college football, not just Power 5.
5 years ago.
Yeah, so Fornelli tweeted out those graphs of like I think it's some sort of points gained or expected points gained, something along those lines, and then like explosive play rate. Colorado's defense was in the worst possible spot of the graph, and their offense was also in the worst. It's bizarre to see.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that or more on that. So KU, their explosive defense is like one of the best in the country. Isn't that bizarre to say? Now, they're not very good on the EPA, but their explosive defense is like really good. That's where TCU thrives. TCU played Colorado, who stinks, and that's Tarleton State fighting Billy Gillespie stink. Then they beat SMU, which I would probably compare to the Houston win. It's a good program and state rivalry. They're like 30 minutes from each other. That's a good
SMU,
win.
Right?
Yeah, it was at SMU. I think it was like a 4-point spread or something, so it's supposed to be a close game. And then they blew Oklahoma out. Obviously, you blow Oklahoma out. It looks really good. Oklahoma had a little number next to them. I said it last week. What if Oklahoma just stinks this year? Like, it's not crazy to say. It's a brand new roster, a brand new coaching staff. Like, Dylan Gabriel's hurt. He got hurt early in that game. TCU would have won regardless. They're already up 2 scores at the time. But, I mean, that final score probably looks a little bit different if Gabriel plays the whole game.
Dude, OU's defense the last 2 games has been
they're
not
horrid. They're not good. But I just think that people saw what TCU did to a brand like Oklahoma, and people just all of a sudden pushed them into this top 10 team. I definitely think they're the best team we've played this year, and we're going to have to play probably our best game to win. But I think the 7 line, and it's continuing to go up, is a touch disrespectful.
At home again.
At home, game day, it just brings a different vibe. Like, I don't know if I'll pick us to win, but it's like I really think that if TCU beat Oklahoma by 11 points instead of 31 points, I know it's a big gap, but just work with me here. This spread is not 7, 7.5, 8, 10, whatever it closes at.
Yeah.
It seems like just a basic overreaction to beating a big brand. So I'm going to lean on that and take KU plus 7.5, 7.
Is this almost like, in a weird way, the perfect kind of storm for us heading into this week where, like, okay, this is me taking all real analysis out of play here, dumb brain
Best way
analysis.
To do it.
Yeah. TCU just played their absolute probably best football, right? OU still OU. I know they're not the same OU, but TCU played at probably the peak. Like, that's, if TCU brings their A game, that's what they're going to bring. We probably played our C or D game.
Mm-hmm.
TCU is now the heavy favorite. Their offense just had their best performance of the year. We just had our worst offensive performance of the year. Like, again, dumb brain analysis. Are we going to see something where, like, our offense comes out firing because we kind of slumped and now we're back out of it, and they maybe, law of averages, just don't sling the ball around and score easily every time? So, like, is this kind of how last week's game went? Is it kind of like setting up for a perfect start for us? I don't know. I love the way both games went last week.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I thought at first I was like, damn, this is ugly. We might lose, and we would have melted down if we lost that game because the offense was so weird in the second half, conservative, but I couldn't be happier with how we won. I'd bet any dollar to my name that we won't play that bad the rest of the season. And they found a way to beat a well-coached team, an Iowa State team that was literally favored against a good Baylor team last week. And it's like a 2-point spread against K-State this week. So I think that's the biggest part of this game, honestly, is starting fast. TCU had 28 points in the first half against SMU 2 weeks ago. They scored 27 in the first quarter against OU last week and 41 in the first half. They're averaging 49 points a game. They've scored 38, 59, 42, and 55. And Max Duggan, I don't know how he can keep this up because he hasn't done this really his whole career. He's kind of been inconsistent. But if he plays like this again Saturday, and you just have to give them credit and admit they're a wagon. I don't know if I would say they're better than Oklahoma State, but I can make a case for TCU being the best team in the league right now, maybe the second best. I could easily see them in Arlington. And Duggan's been ridiculous, dude. He has a 75 completion percentage, 1,000 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he's so damn good on his feet is the thing that scares me too. Like, he had a run against OU where he just took off to the right, took it like 60, 70 yards for a touchdown, and they have so much speed and so many weapons. I don't know how much you guys have watched them, but they are just electric, dude. They got Tay Barber, who's deep threat, and then they got Quentin Johnston, who is one of the best receivers in the class. He might go first or second round. I've seen him in the first. He's their 5th leading receiver right now, a first-round receiver. They got so many guys they can throw at you, and I really think we got to put up 40 or 50 points to win. That scares me, but we've done it all year, besides last week against a really good defense. So I'm terrified of TCU, I'll admit it. I think we have to play really, really, really good, and our coaching staff has to be amazing, come up with a really good game plan.
So, AB, not to sound like a K-State fan here, because I know we've beat teams, but like, it is fair to say we have not seen an offense remotely
for sure
close to TCU, right? So like, that is a valid fear. Like,
they're the best team we've played, no doubt.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if you had to pick a team right now, I guess, is Oklahoma State pretty clearly the best team in the Big 12? Like, is that pretty easy to say? Or
I didn't get to watch them on Saturday. They won at Baylor.
They got the score doesn't really show how that game was played.
Okay,
I
didn't see it.
That. I think Oklahoma State's good, but yeah, there was some kind of lucky shit and fluky shit that happened against Baylor that if it just goes the other way, Baylor probably wins that game by the same score that Oklahoma State won by. So, I mean, they're good, but this is what I was going to say about them. I brought it up a few times. You know, the ESPN, you click on the game and it's got the little graph on the percent chance to win. So what do you think KU's – the 2 easiest games are tied. What do you think the 2 easiest games left for KU are? As far as – like best chance for us to win according to ESPN's little power index thingy.
Yeah, I'd say Tech, and I'm assuming TCU.
Right?
I would say Tech and
Or is it
Texas?
I'll run through them. At Baylor, 82-18 in favor of Baylor.
We can
Texas, 80% for Texas. Oklahoma, 80% for Oklahoma. K-State, 72% chance for them. TCU, 68% chance. Oklahoma State, 64.5%. Texas Tech, 64% even. So they're basically saying Oklahoma State is one of our easiest games left.
That is literally based on our history. That's so annoying to me. We're ranked top 20.
We're going to be underdogs the rest of the year.
Yeah.
We very well could be. But I don't know.
That's crazy.
I know it's bizarre. Now I don't know how much like old performances have to do with that because seeing OU and Texas is both an 80% chance to beat us.
Is it?
I'm like very confident we're gonna beat Texas. By the way,
if viewers just back, they might be sick though.
Is it not crazy that we're KU football fans and we're gonna be all in checking Big 12 scores every week to just for the standings for the Big 12 championship?
Like September to March, baby.
Because if we win Saturday, I already am all in, but I'm all in on them beating OU in Norman, 11 a.m. kickoff, and we're going to be 7-0 and a top 10 team in the country. Think about that. If we beat TCU and OU, what are we ranked?
If we beat TCU, we might be top 10.
No,
I'm serious.
I mean, yeah, no,
I'm not kidding.
I think that's what B-Turn was saying, or were you not, B-Turn?
No, he was saying Oklahoma too. If we just beat TCU, I think we move into like 10 to 12 range because there are just teams that are above us that have a loss or are just kind of floating around, and some of them could lose this week. That's always the weird thing with trying to predict rankings without seeing the games happen first. But like you see a 6-0 team that's on the biggest stage possible as far as pregame goes, so everyone's eyes are going to be on KU. And then we move on over to FS1 because hell yeah, why not? But you win a game, it's going to be on every bottom line. If we finally beat a ranked team, I just think we make like a significant jump being 6-0 with that kind of win. So we'll see, but let's get the win.
So let's talk predictions. We already said it. The line opens up. I mean, it opened I think at like TCU minus 4.5, and it's jumped up to 7 now. I'm really hoping to get 7.5. I think that I would love the Hawks plus 7.5. Over under 67.5. AB, where did that start? Hasn't that jumped up a bunch?
It shot up like crazy. So Circa tweeted out yesterday that it opened TCU 5 and the total was 59.5.
Holy cow.
And literally in like 6 hours it jumped 8 points. It's fucking insane.
So do you think this needs to be a shootout for us to win, or do we want this low scoring?
I don't even know.
I don't know.
Is that bad?
I kind of want a shootout. I
bad
want
radio?
a shootout. No, it's wild because like we've now. Part of me says let's let our offense go toe.
We've won the shootouts is my only thing.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this, like we said, this is a different offense, a different animal. We haven't seen one like this, but I don't know. It'll be interesting. So let's go. B-Turn, I want to go to you for your prediction. TCU minus 7, OU or over under 67.5. Money line plus 230 for the Hawks to win. B-Turn, give me your official prediction.
Dude, you know how as fans we can talk ourselves into anything? Like this year I could have talked myself into bowling. Most games, I've talked myself into winning all 5 games this year. I feel like I've actually been pretty optimistic and confident about this team. I can't talk myself into beating TCU Saturday, and I don't know why. I don't know if that's based off scoring 14 points, not scoring in the second half, but I think TCU's a wagon right now. Like, I'm not ready to say college football playoff for them, but I feel like they're definitely a dark horse because I think they can win the Big 12. They can win the Big 12 championship, maybe go in the season with 1 loss. I think, dude, I don't feel good about this game. I'm not going to say we're going to get blown out, but I think TCU is going to beat us by 2 scores. And I think I do like the over. It's super high, but I think TCU scores 40 plus. I'm sure we'll score 30. But we've been in 2 shootouts where we've given up 48 points, and I guess Houston wasn't really a shootout, but we can go. Our offense can go toe to toe. Our play callers super good, and I said it earlier. Our coaching staff find a way to give us a chance. Hopefully, I would take TCU in the over. I just don't feel good.
Fair. We are not
hate
complete
it.
homers here. We're not complete homers here. We love it. All right, AB.
I want to be a homer. I think I love KU +7. I'd love it more at 7.5, like you said, Rye. But just back to my point earlier, if Gabriel doesn't get hurt, this line isn't 7. It's more like 4. GCU is great. I just think that we're kind of due for a bounce back. Good performance offensively. I'll go 37-33. I don't know why. 9 field goals
TCU
or 3
winning?
field goals. No,
I mean, last week was 14-11. Imagine taking that final score prop on Finn or
Was that a
DraftKings.
scoregami?
I don't know. I bet college football scoregamis are nuts. So many games.
14-11's probably happened quite a bit. It just takes 2-point
But
conversion.
I don't know, man. I'm not going to stop picking KU until they stop winning.
That's
5-0 against the spread.
I mean, that's what I was gonna say for my prediction. Like I've made a lot of money just blindly betting on this KU football team, money line, covering, and it's like, why stop now? And I said it. I've made a few basketball references tonight, but like, I feel like the Iowa State game was a Big 12 game where we shoot 1 of 17 from 3. We make no baskets. We look horrible, but we just grind out a game because Bill Self's the better coach late in the game. But then you turn around, you go back home, and we're lights out from 3. And I feel like we're going to see that with this KU offense where Jalen was like kind of tight. Like Lance said it, we played conservative. Like it wasn't just our offense being like not as good. We were designed to be playing more conservatively. So like I kind of feel like Jalen's going to be let loose. The offense is going to be let loose. Sounds like Kai Thomas is going to get back in the mix. I know Highshaw is probably out or is out. I don't know. I just feel like we're going to be back to kind of like just slinging the ball around. And I don't know TCU's defense that well. But I can absolutely see Jalen just coming out game day. Seems like a guy that rises to the occasion. If he's going to have a Heisman day, it's got to be Saturday. And so I'm taking Hawks 41-38.
You know what's also crazy about last week? And I'm not making excuses because they ended up winning. There was a ton of distractions.
Yeah.
Think about all the stuff in town. Big Noon kickoff game day. They had the rally downtown. A lot of the JD stuff, a lot of NIL stuff with him, a lot of interviews with him. And he wasn't great Saturday, obviously. And they found a way to win. And that's what the staff just from top to bottom so good. Borland, Kodal, Nicky, Lance, obviously. And Scott Chasen was, homecoming. Scott Chasen was saying he was interviewing the players after the game, the guys on defense, and they were just saying how they could feel how Brian Borland is getting everyone to buy in. All the guys on defense are finally trusting him 100%. And the defense has been better every week. They've gotten the necessary stops. They've gotten every big stop, to be honest. Like West Virginia, they went up 14 a couple times in the first half, but when they had to get a stop late or somehow get a muff punt and something to go our way, which is another thing about KU right now, we're somehow catching a ton of breaks. Kicker misses 2 field goals off the uprights, misses a chip shot that literally –
We are the team that has a field goal to win the game and you miss it by 40 yards. Like, that's us. We do that. And to see that happening to other teams is amazing.
So I just want to see where you guys are at just for the rest of the year. Because before the year, BMAC says we're winning 5 games. If we win 5 games this year, I'm thrilled. But now you're 5-0. So I feel like a spoiled fan, and I don't know why I'm so negative about this game Saturday, because you want to win, but obviously if we lose, you're still 5-1. You got 6 more cracks at a bowl game. You got game day. If you compete, who cares, honestly? So I just want to see where you guys are at, because I'm thinking about the schedule, and I was just looking. I feel like our bye week comes at a perfect time, and I don't know if you guys agree, but we got TCU, and then we got – so say you beat – I'm going to say here we beat TCU or 6-1, and then we split OU and Baylor. Can you imagine being 7-1, going into the bye, getting the guys fresh, and then you're back home against potential top 10 Oklahoma State, and you're 7-1? and you win that game, and you got the last three that I personally think are winnable. I know AB, you're right with Ewers; he's super good, and they looked good on Saturday. But I think our bye week comes at a perfect time, and I think we beat TCU. I'm going to start talking to myself into Big 12 title stuff.
And at that point, it would not be crazy.
No.
We'd be halfway through the season, 6-0, ranked 10 to 15. Like, I think it's fair to start talking into it now. Maybe that's insane, but like, there's no game on the schedule that it's a for sure loss. There's no for sure win, but you can go on and compete in every single game. There's probably going to be 3 losses to get into the Big 12 championship game with how these teams are going to beat up on each other.
Yeah.
Other than B-Turn this offseason saying it, like, OU is all of a sudden winnable. Like, we laughed at him this offseason, but it's winnable.
Find that clip. You guys literally stopped me in mid-sentence. We got to find that. B-Turn, calm down.
Yeah, but
I mean, that
OU
was insane.
stinks. And like all
that's
of
why.
Yeah, OU's winnable. TCU's obviously winnable. It's winnable. Texas Tech is winnable. Texas is winnable. I think Oklahoma State's the one I have a hard time seeing us win, but AB has me convinced off a simple percentage on an ESPN app that probably
coming off a bye though. I like Braiden's point more than mine. Coming off a bye, tough stretch, get healthy, come in a chilly November afternoon in Lawrence, Kansas for a top 10 team to come die.
We've talked about that 3-game stretch all year, and I didn't even realize when our bye was. But we're gonna have those 2 road games against Baylor and OU, and where's OU even gonna be at in the Big 12 this year? They're sitting at 0-2.
Dude, they're touchdown underdogs this week.
Yeah,
we could go into Norman and get them on a fucking 3-game losing streak, about to be 4 when we go down there.
Would Venables get shit canned if they start 0-4?
No, they just had so much turnover, dude. Like,
I
know they're frustrated, but I don't know. How long is Gabriel out? Does anyone know?
He died.
Okay.
It
didn't look good.
I have not. This thought just hit my head. Okay, so let's say we lose to TCU and we lose to OU. The thing that's insane is that the season is like the Big 12 title chances are still not necessarily dead, right? Like, I know it sounds crazy to say, but like you said, AB, teams are going to beat up on each other. 2-3 losses could still, we'd have to win out. But like, that's kind of what's crazy is it's no longer one win, or if you lose more than one, you're not making the Big 12 title game. Like, I think there's going to be 4 or 5 losses combined in that Big 12 title game potentially. So I think we probably need to win one of these next 2 to even start talking about it. And then you split OU or Oklahoma State, Baylor, and then you're really serious. But those last 3 games of the year, man, if you get there with just 2 losses, you could win all 3. Like, it seems egregious, but I think you could. And like, that's what's so exciting is to think about us with 3 weeks left on the schedule with Big 12 freaking title hopes.
I mean, if you're 6-2 coming back home against the top 10 team in the country, the booth is going to be sold out again and electric. I'd take 6-2 all day. Win one of the next 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I love how we do this. I
know any fan of any other Big 12 team that had a team that was top 20 in the rankings, undefeated, 5-0, game day coming to town, they'd be all in on Big 12 title talks. But we're Kansas fans.
Playoff talks.
Yeah, we're Kansas fans, so we're going to be a little skeptical. But why not? We're top 19 team. We're not basically ranked.
We are.
We're ranked.
We're ranked. And like,
we're basically ranked.
That was incredible. We've said it. Like, there's just nobody in the Big 12. Like, TCU might be really good, but nobody has been a no-brainer, like, electric football team this year. Baylor was underdogs to that Iowa State team we just played 2 weeks ago. Like, it's going to be wild to see how it all plays out. I don't know what's going to happen, but you're right, V-Turn. Like, we need to just – if you just look at our resume, you look at our team, you look at our ranking, you look at our record, we should absolutely be having these conversations. And so they're fair. And we got made fun of last week on the pod for being so optimistic. We were right.
They were wrong.
AB wasn't quite right, but he was more right than the people that said we'd lose. So
here's the thing with those predictions. They sound outlandish, and they are outlandish, but if they win the game, no one can talk shit. I haven't gotten one tweet about that -20 and a half.
Yeah.
What are they going to say? Oh, you got the spread wrong by 17 points, but you're ranked higher than us, and your record is better than ours.
I know we've said it, but it is truly hilarious how they say, this team, once you play this team, you're done. And then we beat that team. They're like, well, that team sucks. Once you play this team, like, it's just a never-ending.
So they gotta make the decision before the games going forward. Another thing with the Big 12 is there's going to be a random team that's at home that beats a good team that's in the race. Think about Ames. Think about West Virginia got pumped.
Good fucking transition, B-turn, because the fucking Cyclones are beating the Cats this weekend.
Yes, that. Like, Ames, tough place to play in both sports for some reason. Their fans, I'll give their fans credit. They're diehards. They make the places loud. Even Morgantown, a long travel for all these teams. There's going to be Oklahoma State has to play TCU, for example. One of those teams obviously has to lose. Like, it's going to be so much fun watching the Big 12 race as a KU fan. And if we win this weekend, we're 3-0 with 6 to go. 6 more Big 12 games. And
that's what's crazy. We're halfway through the year.
Season, boys. Yeah. And we're
6-0 bowl eligible.
Yeah. 6-0, and like we're starting to I'm already researching where we're going in December, but AB, as we wrap this up, I just got to say I strong disagree. I think the Cats roll over Iowa State on Saturday. I think Iowa State stinks. I really kind of do. Their offense I could not believe, you guys pointed out, they just did nothing but these little short, just 3-yard passes.
He had 20 catches, I swear.
So we'll see. I hope you're right. It would be very funny for us to be told all week that, you haven't beat anyone, and then Iowa State turns around and beats K-State. I hope you're right, but I think K-State pumps them. That's my lock of the week is K-State -2.
Something to remember. The team is never as good as they last look, and they're never as worse as they last looked. Iowa State is a top 10 defense in this country. Yeah. They're going to force K-State to play from 3rd and long multiple times. They're going to make Adrian throw the ball. It is not his strong suit whatsoever. I know it's weird to say Iowa State's too proud of a program because they've only been around for 6 years, but they're not starting 0-3 in conference with 2 home losses. I just don't think they are.
You know, the only thing I was thinking about yesterday afternoon, Ryan? AB refreshing Twitter to see the polls to see if we were ranked ahead of K-State, and his face after he saw it.
Well, what did he do when he predicted the right bracket on Selection Sunday that one day? I predict him sitting at home doing that when he saw that ranking.
They melted down.
Oh, that's tough. That's a tough scene.
Rankings after 5 weeks.
It's a bad day.
It's a catastrophe.
How obnoxious and arrogant are our fans gonna get if Lance stays here for a while? I'm gonna say it. We're gonna be a bowl team every year. We're gonna be a bowl team every year, and we're gonna have a national title contender basketball program every year. We're gonna be. It's like that. What's that one video? I'm gonna be more obnoxious.
Our
fans are going to be lunatics, and K-State fans and Mizzou fans have to be so mad right now.
It is annoyed. Pretty nuts what we've done the last 7 months. We
haven't lost since March 1st.
It's crazy. We're sick.
It's October 3rd, by the way, for those listening.
And we won a national title in between there. That's what's hilarious.
People actually forget about that. I feel like. People forget we did that.
People forget we won the national title.
It's kind of bizarre how our good football years always line up with natties.
It is.
And by always, I mean twice. But still.
All right. Well, I'm tired, boys. It's a late night, and the Hawks are absolutely cooking. 5-0. Game day's coming to town. Get your butts to the booth this weekend. 3 straight sellouts is going to be sick. And as we just laid out, things could not be any better for old Kansas athletics right now. So thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week. Rock Chalk.